guys, this is Scott with The Average Joe's Armory, the channel for the average Joe, and today we're going to be celebrating 60 years of service in the United States military of our beloved AR-15. Today I'm going to be sharing the story of how the M16, AR-15, M4, a lot of names for it, was adopted into the United States military. It's a pretty cool story. But before we dive into that, I'm going to ask that you please like and subscribe to this video and our channel in general so you can see all of our future content. Now, in order to start the story, we have to jump back into the 50s. Now, the M14 was just adopted in 1957, and at that same time, the AR-10 was big with Armalite. And the military had asked Armalite, hey, can you come up with a smaller, lighter version of that? Now, a lot of people have heard about the AR-10, but they didn't know that it was actually produced and designed before the AR-15. Now, the AR-10 takes a 308 7.62 NATO cartridge, whereas the AR-15 takes the popular 223 5.56 cartridge. So in 1958, Eugene Stoner, dubbed the father of the AR-15. He was a former United States Marine as well as a chief engineer at Armalite at the time, and he teamed up with Armalite to invent and create and design and put into production the AR-15 rifle. Now, AR-15, a lot of people think assault rifle, they think America's rifle, but what it really stands for is Armalite Rifle Model 15, just like the AR-10 is the Armalite Rifle Model 10. So in 1958, they came together, they created the AR-15, and they actually submitted it for testing for the United States military. Now, that first round of tests were not favorable, and in fact, the military did not want it. They had no use for it, and Armalite was pretty disappointed with that. Now, in 1959, the father, or I guess parent company of Armalite, Fairchild Engine and Airplane Corporation, decided, hey, this isn't our core business. We don't want to be in the rifle business anymore, and I think it's time that we divest and get out of it. So they basically paired up with Cooper and McDonald, which was a brokerage firm, and they created a contract to basically sell the design to Colt AR-15, who then took advantage. They purchased the designs and the manufacturing rights for $75,000 plus 4.5% royalty that would then go back to Armalite. Now, keep in mind also, Cooper and McDonald would also earn royalties from this too. So now we went from just Eugene Stoner and Armalite to kind of a trifecta, right? You've got Colt that can manufacture the rifle, you've got Cooper and McDonald that can market the rifle, and then you've got Armalite, who again, they designed it and now they're getting royalties. So they've got an incentive to sell this too. So with that said, Bobby McDonald, who worked for Cooper and McDonald, he wanted to market this rifle in both the United States as well as foreign countries. So he went out far, far east, specifically Southeast Asia, and brought the AR-10 and the AR-15 with him. And what he noticed is that the AR-15 was a lot more popular than the AR-10. A lot of people liked that it was smaller, it was lighter, the caliber was a much lighter round, so you can carry more ammunition with it for soldiers, and it was just more versatile. So what he did is he actually called up Colt and said, hey, why don't you pause production on the AR-10? Let's get the AR-15 going because I think it's going to be a lot more popular. And at this time, he was already receiving orders from these foreign countries. So now Colt is producing the AR-15, and they're noticing that it's more popular even though that it didn't pass these government tests. So you're probably asking yourself, well, that's great, but the government didn't want it, so how did it get adopted by the US military? Well, I'll tell you. So the president of Fairchild, Richard Boulette, every year he would host a party. It was his birthday party / 4th of July party, and he'd invite friends and family, and he happened to know American Air Force General Curtis LeMay, and he knew he was going to be at that party. So he invited Bobby McDonald and said, hey, why don't you bring a couple AR-15 rifles? So he set up an AR-15 rifle, handed it over to Curtis LeMay, and also set up a watermelon at 50 yards and 150 yards. And now he let Curtis LeMay take a couple shots, and as the story goes, LeMay fell in love with the rifle, and he immediately put in an order, a big order, for a lot of AR-15s. Now, Congress came back and they put that order on hold. They said, hey, we already tested this rifle back in 1958. You know, it didn't pass the test. We just recently adopted the M14 in 1957. That's going to be the rifle that we're going to use. So no, we don't want this AR-15. However, LeMay was persistent. So it did take him a few years. However, after 3 attempts, he finally did get Congress to agree to retest it, and they did so. And this time, the test came back very favorable. So now we've got an opportunity to bring a new rifle into the United States military. So with that said, they started producing the rifle for both the Air Force and the Army. Now, one thing that I want to mention is that before they went into production, Colt actually changed the design a little bit. Originally, Armalite had the charging handle on the side of the rifle, whereas Colt came in and they put that charging handle in the rear, which we're accustomed to today. It's a little more ergonomic, it's easier to get to, and it makes a lot more sense on this platform. So I wanted to throw that out there too, because that was a change that took place that possibly could have had a difference in these tests as well. Now, that's pretty much when the big contract came in, where it was a $13.5 million contract and 104,000 rifles were ordered. Now, there are 2 different types of rifles that were actually made. The Air Force, their rifles did not have a forward assist on them, whereas the Army did insist that they should have a forward assist. Now, Eugene Stoner, the inventor, basically said on record that he didn't find any applicable use of a forward assist. In fact, he said that if the rifle does jam, you should just break apart the rifle, extract the round, put it back together, and move forward. He said that actually by using that forward assist, you're actually possibly jamming that bullet into the chamber, and you can actually create more problems. So the Air Force was okay not having the forward assist, but the Army did insist to have it, and that's why you see a lot of rifles today still have that forward assist. So that's a question out to you guys. Do you use your forward assist on your AR-15 or have you not? I'd love to hear that and read about that in the comments. Now that takes us to 1963, where this big contract comes in, and now these rifles are actually being shipped over to Vietnam and soldiers are using them. Now, it's said that they probably moved a little too fast with this rifle, because what they found is that the powder in the ammunition was having some issues with the pressure and the cycling, and on top of it, soldiers weren't properly trained on these rifles either, so they were having some problems as well. So the rifle didn't have the groundbreaking success that was expected. However, Armalite, Colt, and Eugene Stoner got together and they did work out those issues pretty quickly, getting the rifle to perform as we know today. So with that said, they then took a look at how can we make this rifle even better. And the government did some things like added a grenade launcher, added advanced optics. They decided to shorten the barrel, so they could do close quarters. And they also added an adjustable stock as well, but that wasn't until the later years. In 1964, Colt said to themselves, hey, we're producing this rifle, everyone's loving it, we're marketing it with the Vietnam War, so let's bring it to civilian use. So they started marketing it commercially to civilians as well, and they came out with the SP1 rifle. Now, I actually have one here today. It's a 1968 Colt SP1, and it's in the low 11,000 serial number range. So it is, it's one of the first 11,000, which is pretty cool. Now, this one does feature the 3-prong flash hider, and that's before they went to the birdcage flash hider. It does have the traditional 20-inch barrel. It does have the fixed carry handle as well as the fixed stock. And this particular model does not have the forward assist on it either, which again aligns with the Air Force use. So these SP1s were mass produced, from 1964 all the way till 1982. And it's pretty cool that we got our hands on one today. So again, we're celebrating 60 years of the AR-15, M16, M4 in U.S. military use. We love doing this research, we love doing the video, and most importantly, we love sharing it with all of you. So thank you for tuning in. Signing off, this is Scott with The Average Joe Armory, the channel for The Average Joe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.